We are back. So it has been a morning. Welcome to our post-interview thoughts with Nick Sarillo. I am devastated because I had internet issues, but as Nick so politely stated in our after interview, this is life. This is what we deal with. You know, Marie has kids crawling in. I have no internet. We're all over the place. I warned everyone that we were a hot mess to begin. But I just have to start, Marie. You know, one thing that stood out to me with the parts of the interview that I heard, I'm going to have to go back and watch it. But one thing that stood out to me with Nick is I love the fact that his first response to everything was, we go to our people. We talk to our people directly. When we have a problem, when we have an issue to talk about, when we have something to handle, the first thing that we do is we go to our people and we get their feedback. And then how he so eloquently said that they live their values. They go back to look at those values and say, according to these values, how should we make decisions? Wow, I was blown away.
Yeah, yes. And the other thing that he talked about, which is, it's just the ideal of being a leader, is that he really talked about the fact that we don't just give it lip service. We don't tell people in orientation or when they come in for interviews, this is how we operate. We show them.
Yes.
And that is so key. You're not just telling people these are our values, this is how we live. You walk the talk, you show them. They see how you're really living. You're using it every single day. It's not just some values we put on a wall and then we walk away from that, or we make everybody memorize it. One leader said to me once, "Oh, we just have everybody knows the values. They memorize the mission and the vision. And then when you ask people what's the mission or the vision, they'll go, oh, I don't really know." But when you ask one of Nick's team members, and I love he calls them team members and not employees, when you ask one of his team members what the mission is, what the purpose is, they not only know, they can give you examples of how they're living their mission and their vision. They truly can. And so his company is the example of how companies need to treat their employees, how they truly need to walk that talk. I love it.
And being in touch with, you know, when I asked him, and again, because of the issues I think that kind of we're facing today that are abnormal, we haven't had these all season, but let's face it, we started this interview process this season to be post-pandemic thoughts. And we are now right back in the middle of a pandemic again, right? So that just shows you that, we've had to kind of go, this series has evolved, life has evolved. But I love how, when I asked him, because we didn't prepare those questions, being able to ask him, Marie has a kid jumping in her, this is the reality of what, mothers are. And we know the hospitality industry has been brutal for women with children. And I loved his answer, the human answer of, if you need to bring your kids and we'll occupy them. Like, we can no longer separate these worlds. And we have to think, one, I was listening to a podcast the other day with Simon Sinek, and he was talking about what we've just gone through and are going through is equivalent to what they experienced in World War II. And just like in World War II, we needed women for the country to keep going. That's where we're at right now. Like, we need women in the workplace, but we have to hear what is happening with them. And I love that he honestly answered it.
Mm-hmm. And he honestly said, hey, I brought my kids into the workplace. He was honest. And what a contrast from last week. Last week, Tanya, you told the story of a nurse who was homeless and had to bring her kids to work, and the kids had to stay in the car so she could work. And her employer was like, you can't bring these kids, here. You're going to have to figure something out. And then you hear this contrast of Nick saying, bring the kids in. Let's punch dough together. They can work in the kitchen. Right. We're not talking about child labor, so no letters on child labor. We're really just talking about how to occupy the kids, have fun. And you could just see that as, Hugo came into the frame. He's 3 years old, and he was so engaged with him. Nick was so engaged with Hugo. It didn't faze him. He is truly living that walk. He's saying,
Yeah.
yeah, kids are fine. Kids are welcome.
And I do want to touch on, though, I've thought about that story a lot more, and especially as this pandemic has changed. And I think, in fairness, one thing that we don't always do, especially right now in this polarized world that we live in, that we've talked about, is that trying to look at this and examine this from different points of view. And when I go back to that nursing home story, one thing that I failed to recognize is that nursing homes are dealing with an already vulnerable population.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, we don't know the ages of her children that were in that car. If they are below an age or to have been vaccinated, or you know what I'm saying? So there are so many factors right now that we have to take into consideration that I guess I thought more about. And I'm like, we can't demonize them for making those decisions. And, even this morning, I was watching a national broadcast today, and it was a teacher it was the head of a national teachers union.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, she was getting pummeled, right, by the journalist and asking good questions. But one thing she said to me really stopped me in my tracks. Hi, honey. She said, look, we have to know that we all know we live in a very polarized country right now. We cannot let our schools turn into that.
Right.
And when he said that, I was like, whoa, you're right. You're right. And it made me think of a whole different side of the conversation that perhaps I hadn't been considering. And that's what I love, though, about listening to your people and going to them, because if you're just making decisions blindly, you don't know what world they're living in.
Absolutely. And I love that you said that it's not about demonizing the other side, because it's not. It's really about listening. It's how do we listen to each other? I think it's not just employer-employee listening, but it's all of us listening to each other. We all have points of view. We all have concerns. We all have fears. And if we don't take the time to really listen to what the other person is saying, we're not going to be able to have understanding.
No.
And that's the key for emotional intelligence. I can't expect you to really understand where I'm coming from and what my emotions mean and how I'm reacting in a workplace or in an environment if we're not willing to just listen to each other and help each other through it. And so that's going back to Nick. That's the thing that I love about his company and his new venture, which is the Institute, is that it's about listening. It's about communicating. He talked about he has a newsletter for his guests, and he's got daily communication with his team members. And so, whoa, let's not move stuff around. So that way they're in a constant state of communication. So I love that.
And I think more than anything right now, people are longing. Every Wednesday, I do a little hump day holla, and it's more on personal growth. And I talked about post-traumatic stress disorder. And one of the signs, there's no doubt, like we've all been through a war this last year and a half, and we're all experiencing trauma on different levels. And one of the signs of post-traumatic stress is wanting to isolate. Mm-hmm. And I feel that by pushing ourselves to start talking to people, we can become more, not through Facebook, not through this screen, through a screen right now, because but having actual conversations through a telephone, like speaking to people. I think that can, because I'm even noticing blinders that I had that I didn't even know I had. And I think that as an employer, like I said, when I asked Nick that question about walking into this restaurant and seeing that sign, I was like, what a horrible position these businesses are in, that we're all in, quite honestly, but businesses especially. They're trying to have a livelihood and create livelihoods for people while keeping everyone safe. And I love that Nick, one of my favorite things of this whole interview that I heard was Nick's point about how he's got those values on the wall, and that they went and as a team said, what are our values? And so what does that look like in this COVID world? Yeah. What do we need to do? And talk about getting buy-in. Like, he is just as genius as I thought he was going to be. What a great way to end the season. Although I would have preferred to not have these issues. Now I know next time I need to broadcast from my bed. That's where I'm at right now. But what a great season. And I've had a blast. I think that each guest that we have had has brought a unique perspective, but the running theme has truly been to take care for business owners, business leaders, business managers to take care of their customers, which are their employees.
Yep.
Not paying customers.
Yep. That's the bottom line. And I think if anybody questions what we've been saying all season around, you have to take care of your employees so that they can take care of your customers, I think this last guest has not only shown that that is profitable, but also shown that that's really where we're going for the future. He hires millennials, he hires Gen Zs, and they are brilliant. I mean, when you trash talk these kids, you have no idea. Go to Nick's. You'll see some amazing, amazing kids that are working.
Because no one wants to feel like they don't matter. No one wants to feel like they don't matter.
Yeah, and that's the bottom line, is that people want to feel that they matter. So at the end of the day, as owners of whatever industry you're in, your brand promise is that internal brand. Your employees are your brand. And if you take care of your brand, they will take care of your customers, your guests, your clients. Absolutely. So I think that's the message. We'll be back. So Tanya, when will we be back again?
So we're thinking that, I'm glad you brought that up. So yes, we definitely have had so much fun with this. We've got some transitions happening in the next couple of months. Definitely want to do a fall series. Marie and I definitely want to talk to you a little bit about some of the topics that, something that is weighing on me right now is really wanting to talk to people about their why, about why they've chosen the career path that they have. And so maybe exploring outside a variety of different industries, exploring how people are finding joy in their work and meaning and purpose in their work. And I think that the fall series may not just be around leaders, but everyday people that have something to say and perhaps a message that may resonate with us. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm saying the fall series will probably start around October because we need a little bit of time to figure out what direction we want to go. And then we got to find people to actually bring on. So that is definitely where I'm kind of wanting to go. But what a wonderful series. This was so much of an adventure. Marie, when we started this, we had no idea what we were doing. I remember we had never even done a live stream before, and it turned out pretty good.
Yeah, we did pretty good. It wasn't so bad. And, if anybody wants to rewatch some of the episodes, we'll have those posted on LinkedIn instead of a live episode. We'll be posting those until we go live. And I can't wait to go live and hang out with Tanya again.
Well, and that's what I think, perhaps make sure that if you're watching this, you follow me and Marie. And Marie, I was just thinking that what we could do over the next few weeks is just repost and go through the series again. And so that's kind of what we're going to do until we start the fall series. And we'll be sure to give some teasers and let you all know as soon as we figure it out.
Sounds good. Well, on that note, we're going to say goodbye. This was our longest post.
Yes.
So Hugo's going to come and say goodbye too.
Bye, Hugo. Thank you for helping us.
Thanks for helping. Say bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you soon. And thank you, Marie.
Thanks, Tanya. Bye.